Hi, I'm Mike Redwine of the Louisa Project 2027, where we discuss education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. Today, we're having a discussion with Araquel Bloss of the Progressive Independent Party. She's here with us to discuss their education platform. This is going to be a broad conversation, and we're going to be here, I guess, for about 30 minutes just to discuss their platform, and hopefully maybe Araquel can share with us a little bit of history of the organization, and we'll go from there. All right, Araquel, it's up to you.
Hi, Michael. I'm so glad to join you. I know we've been talking for a while about doing this hangout, so thank you for taking some time on your Sunday. I am the founder and executive director of the Progressive Independent Party, which was based on a petition I wrote in March, asking Bernie Sanders, Jill Stein of the Green Party, the Democratic Socialists of America, and others to join in making one united progressive party. And that's how we launched back in March. There was so much enthusiasm about the concept that it just kind of launched. So never did I think I'd be here talking to you today about the Progressive Independent Party. But here we are months later, with so much that has happened in the election. We just ride out the waves and we keep adjusting to the political environment and climate of our country right now. And that's how we got started. We're quite big right now, and we are continuing to grow substantially with the end of the DNC convention, of course, and the general election moving forward. So.
Okay, cool, great. I'm glad you took time out to talk to me. We've been chatting back and forth for a little while, and summer and with kids and stuff, it's kind of crazy. So I'm glad we finally got together to have this conversation. Okay, so very quickly, I'm going to share a screen cap of the the Progressive Independent Party platform. And folks, you have to bear with me. I am new to the live show thing, so just got to bear with me a little bit. Okay, so this is the platform from the Progressive Independent Party. I'm going to read it off. Education. The Progressive Independent Party believes that all students deserve an opportunity to receive an affordable, quality education from the earliest stages of schooling to high-level degrees. From day one, we will send elected officials with legislation to make public colleges and universities tuition free, as well as drastically reduce interest rates on student loan debt. We achieve this by cutting redundant military spending and through a minor tax on Wall Street speculation, thus opening the door for an increase in federal funding for our educational system. All right, I did it almost without a hitch. I am so proud of me right now.
You did great.
I appreciate it. All right, so let's stop the screen share. All right, I'm gonna let you just just riff on that, how you feel about your platform, and maybe sort of discuss why the platform is what it is. So I'll just let you go ahead. Araquel, take it away.
Thank you. Well, on building our platform, which you can read on our website, which is pipunite.org, we tended to be sort of broad because we are building sort of a parliamentary system coalition, which we intend and hope to be an all-inclusive, progressive-leaning party. So in so doing, we needed to be a little bit broad and to ensure that we encompass all the various folks that we hope to include moving forward. So, but most of our platform is predominantly a mixture between Green Party, socialist alternatives, and of course, Bernie Sanders and his very, very popular platform. And I think through his campaign, we saw the demand and the excitement for what he put forth in explaining to the American people that, tuition-free public colleges and universities is completely doable. We can lower the interest rates on federal student loans, and even Jill Stein is calling for student debt forgiveness. So we definitely need to open the opportunities for our youth in this country. We're behind in many ways in education, and Bernie Sanders has led the way in showing us that it's doable. He's proven his economics, quite frankly, over and over. So we believe in him, we believe in the movement, and we believe we can improve this country.
All right, great. That was awesome. You said you weren't prepared. Go ahead. I'm happy. I'm happy at you. All right. So, all right. So, just to dig in a little bit deeper, as you said, we as progressives, those of us on the progressive end of the left side of the spectrum, we often talk about improving our education system. I had a discussion with Brandon Sutton of the Project Sanity from the Benjamin Dixon Network yesterday or the day before yesterday. We had a long discussion about education, and one of the big things that he pulled out was the K-12 piece. So what do you guys think about tackling the K through 12 or the pre-K through 12 piece?
Well, I mean, I'm not an education expert, which is why, we're going to be a collaborative, coalition-based party.
Of course. I don't mean to put you on the spot. I was just popped into my head.
Well, I can tell you from personal experience that some of the issues that we're having in this country are some of the Tea Party governors that we have in our states. For instance, where I live in Indiana, we've had Mike Pence. Not a big fan of Mike Pence or most of his ideology, and he is led by ideology, which is a small federal government and stronger state control. Well, what that led him to do is decide to not sign federal grant papers that would have given Indiana millions of dollars for our pre-K programs that would have predominantly helped the lower income people afford pre-K programs. So in his stubbornness to allow assistance from the federal government, it hurt our people. So I think these issues fall, on every level of government, but it definitely belongs to each of us in our communities to press and pressure those officials that we've elected to do what's best for the people and not what's best for their ideology necessarily. So when you have direct legislation like that or direct impact on our low income family and friends and neighbors, certainly that's not going to do their continuing education any good. So I would work on the funding. Lots of schools are being closed. That should be a first and foremost thing that we are absolutely funding in our nation. So those things have to be discussed.
Okay, great. I often have discussions with because I'm in Alabama and because of my job. Unfortunately, I'm surrounded by conservatives, and I often have yay me. We often discuss. We often often the discussions about Black Lives Matter, about crime and poverty and stuff. And one of the things that I always say to them is, they're always worried about crime and everything else. I said, well, the reality is somebody with a job and an education is less likely to rob your house. And I mean, it's really that simple.
That's absolutely correct. And I lived in Chicago for 10 years before returning to Indiana. But there was a rate of between 50% to 70, depending on the study, of Black young men that never graduated high school. Now that's a problem. That's absolutely a systemic problem. That's unacceptable. There is something bigger going on that needs to be addressed. And I know my friend Mark Conkle did a docu-series on CNN called Chicagoland, where he did address the issues that kids are having in inner schools related to gang violence, the closing down of one school, which leads kids to be shipped to another school that's outside of their where they're with their gangs, and it causes a lot of fear, deaths, kids just walking down the street. It's a horrible thing. So I think that we need to have a more concentrated effort to understand the nuances of the inner city societies and what the challenges that these kids face when we're closing down schools in their neighborhood and asking them to go somewhere else. I mean, these are issues that adults shouldn't have to carry with us in our day-to-day lives, let alone our children. So much more community discussion needs to happen before these changes in schools occur, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I agree 100%. The part of the issue is, like you said, the key word is communities, right? And I think the communities, the parents, the small business owners, the children, the solutions are going to come from there, and that's a big piece of what the Louisa Project is all about: crowdsourcing solutions. Mm-hmm. And the solutions that we firmly believe that the people going through the problems are more likely to be a resource for solving the problems, if not having solutions of their own, which I'm sure many do, right? But there's nobody listening to them because, who listens to people who have problems, So I think we as a nation would be better served if we did some listening as opposed to dictating how people should act in their own environments. But that's just me riffing. But well, let's.
I absolutely agree.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I absolutely agree. Even with the police state that we're in, and that's something I discuss. And I want to remind people that the government is our government, and the police are our police. They belong to us. We pay for them. They're not there to control us. We are there to also monitor them and be vigilant in how they treat others. So there's a huge shift that needs to happen in our country. The power needs to move away from those authoritative bodies and entities and back to the people. The communities absolutely have their own answers, and the police force and the education system should all be partners in working towards the absolutely the same goals.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. I agree 100%. All right. So on the platform, let's go back to the platform a little bit here. I don't want to take up too much of your time. One of the things that many progressive organizations are, well, we're talking about the funding of the college, the cutting some fat from the military spending and a speculation tax on Wall Street. Let me. Let's discuss that a little bit. I'm sorry, I'm trying to move things around. Okay. This is new to me. I would cut this out. All right. So let's talk about this speculation tax. Like I've heard it's like one of the numbers that was told I believe was told to me was like 0.012% on transaction taxes. Right, on which is on trillions of dollars worth of trades that go through throughout the course of a year, and it's basically invisible because these have these huge trades on Wall Street. So talk a little bit about that.
Well, I mean, I believe most people are on board that we need a lot of tax reform in this country. We have a lot of people who misunderstand democratic socialism. They misunderstand the systems that are in place that provide corporate welfare. I was thinking about the article I read that Walmart, the federal government subsidized Walmart by $6 billion last year for things like subsidizing their employees' health insurance through the Affordable Care Act, which is ridiculous, knowing that the Walton family is the richest family in America, and their wealth comprises of 40% of our wealth combined. So there's a lot of greed in this country, and I think tuition-free college and universities and better funded public schools from K through 12 can be accomplished really by closing those loopholes and holding the corporations accountable to pay their taxes and to pay their share. But absolutely, that can also, the speculatory tax on Wall Street can help. I don't think it would take a lot to fund what we're asking. for, and the rewards would far outweigh the cost of tuition-free college and universities.
I agree 100%, because many of the issues we have here in our country in education were because we've made bad decisions along the way. To my mind, one of the key turning points was Brown versus the Board of Ed. when many states decided, or many municipalities decided that, okay, many said we just shunned the decision. Many found ways around working through the decision that didn't really serve anyone. But if you look at, let's say, if you people of color in this country, I think it's around 30% of the population. I'm just spitballing numbers here. 30% of the population was not educated the way that this country is capable of, and leaving those folks behind hurt us as a nation. Now we're running around with like our hair is on fire, looking for trying to find ways to get this talent into the country. As far as like in STEM, in some areas of STEM, I hear some are becoming saturated. But we've made some bad decisions along the way. We've decided that some people deserve an education and some people don't. And that was to my mind, that's one of the biggest issues we're facing now. We're paying the piper for that right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And another example in Indiana is when you start to take the taxes that are earmarked for public education, and then you give out vouchers. So children that attend very expensive public schools get credit for that taxes. It's taking money away from the public education system. It's draining. It's making these schools not equal in any way. So I have questions about this voucher system and what it does to our public school systems. Being, certainly schools are not equal. I mean, we should all know that by now.
Yeah, we have to be honest about that for sure.
Oh, we have to absolutely be honest about that. And I think the larger question when you talk about the people of color in this country is that I think we need to come to terms with the fact that the civil rights movement didn't accomplish what we hoped it would have. We need to look at how we accepted solutions that did not give us the results. So I hope through the movement for Black Lives and the various other movements that are happening right now, that we figure out how to create the system that will give us the true equality, social equality, economic justice, etc. We have a lot of work to do to kind of rethink our history, where we came from, what we did wrong, and moving forward to not make those mistakes again. But part of that is admitting where we are today. All of us admitting our ignorance of it, or our acceptance of it, or our color blindness of it, and begin to have an open dialogue and be truthful.
Absolutely. That was awesome. I'm going to cut that out. I'm going to cut that. I'm going to soundbite that. That was excellent. Excuse me. So let's talk. This was a tough one for me because I work for the federal government, right? But we're going to talk about it anyway. Hold on a second. Let me take a look to make sure I got this. Okay, so we achieve this by cutting redundant military spending. Now, for me, as I said, I work for the federal government. That's my day job, right? Mm-hmm. But we all have to admit that we spend way too much money in defense, right? We're tooling up for this war that never happened, right? It seems like the Cold War is getting a reboot lately, but I think that's going to die off. But at the same time, we have all this weaponry, but the enemy has changed, right? And we can't seem to find a way to shift the way we spend money. Now, I recognize part of that is jobs, right? Even though the military is an inefficient jobs program. Military spending is an inefficient jobs program. The multiplier is much lower than something like a federal public works program, infrastructure spending. The multiplier for that is much higher. But in any regard, regardless, so how would the PIP address this? Because there are a lot of people, a lot of organizations that are deeply invested in keeping things the way they are. They're deeply invested in the military industrial complex status quo. So how would you guys handle that?
Well, my feeling on that, and I was listening to Jill Stein on her CNN appearance the other night. I think she did very well in handling foreign policy, which I'm sure they expected her to fumble a little bit, but I had a lot of respect for what she had to say. And I believe we're a little bit in a paradigm shift, which I talked about in my live stream last week, where it's time to rethink many things. And our policies on interventionism, our policies on regime toppling, all of those need to be reassessed because they aren't working, but they're not working for the people. They're not working for, building alliances and trust and community in our global society. But not only that, they're not giving us the personal results, the global results that we would expect, but it is giving corporations the results that they want and certain political entities the results that they want. So we have a disconnect with the oligarchy controlling our foreign policy, which we've seen with Hillary Clinton and her pay for play, which is still being investigated by the FBI with the Clinton Foundation. But the people, we don't want to bomb Syria. We don't want to be accountable for paying for missions that are preemptive. Many of us unsure why we're there, what's the goal, how do we win, how do we get out? From Iraq to Libya to Yemen now to Syria, what are we doing? We begin to question what is the big picture for these people that have kept us in war for 14 years, and now we're facing a global refugee crisis. We just sold $1.5 billion worth of military equipment to Saudi Arabia on Thursday. President Obama and the State Department approved that. Well, Saudi Arabia isn't doing their part in the community to help the refugees. They don't have a stellar human rights record. You have to begin to wonder who we are partnering with and why we are pouring our weapons into the hands of people we may not be able to trust to have the best humanitarian interests. So this is a larger question and a shift, I believe you're right, from the Cold War thinking and thinking everyone is our enemy to begin to pull out and realize that we have hundreds of military bases around the world compared to all countries combined have 30. We have hundreds. We need to stop the rhetoric in this country by politicians saying that we need more defense spending. We need more defense spending. This fear mongering, I think we've caught on now. So I think we need a lot of intellectual conversation and some truth telling on what these policies are actually getting us, which is destabilizations of entire regions, millions of people, refugees, that there's no solution to that anytime soon. We have climate migration now happening with climate crises that are occurring. So we're going to have a lot on our hands, and military interventionism probably shouldn't be our top priority.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and speaking of climate, we're in the middle of we're not in the middle of both of them, but one thing that two areas where the climate played a huge role in destabilization is Southern Sudan and Libya.
Mm-hmm.
Folks, their farms are dying because they're not getting the water they need, and the old ways of irrigation aren't working because those water sources aren't there anymore. And these folks they leave their farms, they go to the big cities for jobs. The jobs aren't there. Then you have this huge swath of people without jobs. Many of them turn to the underground economy, as they say, and it's just a witch's brew of bad things that can happen from there. and then you on top of that you have a Marines who just think they can beat these problems into fix them by beating people or jailing people or killing people, and the problems just get worse and worse and worse. We've seen it with Brazil. We really need to find better ways to deal with our problems. All right. This got deep, didn't it? This one got deep.
It did, and I wanted to add really fast that we also need to look at how we respond to these crises, because Haiti is a good example where our politicians put in connected corporations to rebuild, and there's no oversight, so you end up with these houses built that had formaldehyde. It's not very much better off than when we came with our millions of dollars with Red Cross and the Clinton Foundation and Hillary Clinton in the State Department. We need to start looking and having an honest conversation, and the American people need to hold their attention long enough to see what the outcome of our actions are, and hold our politicians accountable for the results that the people in these countries don't get from the aid that we are providing with our personal contributions and our taxpayer money. So there's a lot of exploitation happening for these people that are the most vulnerable around the world, unfortunately.
Absolutely. And that goes into all kinds of stuff: sex trafficking, slavery, all kinds of stuff are building off these I guess we can call them missed opportunities. We'll call them missed opportunities for now.
That's a nice way to put it. I like that.
Yeah. I'm trying to be nice. On occasion, I'm a nice guy. All right. What are the Progressive Independent Party's rock solid principles when it comes to education?
Well, I think it's handing the control over local communities, accountability, leaving some of these bad policies behind, and obviously reinvest in our communities and our schools, but also, of course, the bigger issue of tuition-free colleges and universities, which will be absolutely amazing when that occurs. I mean, we have, public universities now that are far less expensive, but we can take that extra step, and certainly continuing the conversation about why the government needs to make profit off of our student loans. Mine's at maybe 8%. It's a crazy amount. So I think we need to give folks that have gone that extra step for higher education some relief from those interest rates, and potentially relieve
I'm sorry.
student debt. That's what we think. And I think the Bernie Sanders campaign showed people's excitement about it, their willingness. The people of America are willing to pay for what they get. And we saw that again with the Bernie Sanders campaign, that when we have a good candidate, when we have good ideas, we will dig in our own pockets and help support these projects and these people and these politicians. We need to start taking control of our government back, our communities back, and that means that all of us have to not return to being apathetic, and staying involved and holding our politicians ultimately accountable.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I won't take any more of your time. Not very quickly. I take all the time you need. Please let everybody know how they can get in contact with you.
Yes, you can. We have a Facebook page, which is facebook.com/ Progressive Independent Party. You can sign up or join or read our platform on pipunite.org, and we're around. I live stream every Monday 10 p.m. Eastern on our main Facebook page, and it's just a time where we just do exactly what we did today and just have a conversation, which I think the American people really need, and feel like they want to just have honest, good conversation without a lot of rhetoric. So I appreciate your time today, Michael.
Well, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much for taking time to hang out with us. I think a question popped in my head when you were talking, and it's gone now. So we're just gonna let it go. Okay. All right. If you don't mind, you sit tight for a minute. I'm gonna do my outro, and then we'll stop broadcasting. We'll talk for a split second. All right.
All right.
All right. All right. This has been the Louisa Project 2027, where we discuss education, entrepreneurship, and innovation. We were speaking to Araquel Bloss of the Progressive Independent Party. As she said, you can reach out to them at pipunite.org. Okay, and she's at Araquel Bloss on Twitter. And please reach out to them. And thanks for stopping by and checking us out. And we'll see you soon. Bye.